Welcome back inside our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, which is sponsored by Acres, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Acres, solutions for every field. I'm Jessica Coody, and in case anybody needed a reminder who has the best fans in all of college sports, Volleyball Day in Nebraska is officially sold out. The announcement coming today, coming up on August 30th. The Huskers match against Omaha inside Memorial Stadium. Over 82,000 people will be checking out that match. And here to talk about that, and also a big weekend coming up this weekend as Nebraska will play their annual spring match in Central City, Nebraska. Junior outside hitter and new to the program, Merritt Beason. I'm so excited you're here and to get to talk to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, how about that? Can you imagine over 82,000 people buying tickets that you're going to be playing in front of in August?
No, it's crazy. It blows my mind just to think about. And me and Lindsay rode together to weights this morning, and so we pulled in the parking lot back there, and I just looked at the stadium and was like, whoa. You know, it's so crazy to think about. And for me, I played in the Wisconsin match where they broke the record that was the current record, and obviously I was playing for a different team, but it was just crazy to be in front of 16,000 fans. So I can't even fathom thinking about over 80,000. It's crazy, but it's just so cool the support that we have here, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, what has your perspective been of that and the way Husker fans love their volleyball?
It's crazy. You know, being from Alabama and going to an SEC school, a lot of it is football down there in the South, which there's nothing wrong with, but that was one of the things that drew me here to Nebraska, was just how much support volleyball has and how much this town, but also the entire state, loves and backs volleyball. It's really special.
Well, we're going to talk all things spring volleyball, but I did want to get your backstory too. So take us through your recruiting process. When you enter the portal and try to figure out where your next spot is, what were you looking for?
Yeah, you know, going into the portal, it's kind of scary because you have no idea what to expect. You don't know what other teams need. And so going in, I really didn't know what to expect. I had no idea, but I knew that it was something that I wanted to do. And so the first day that I entered the portal was crazy. It was definitely not what I expected, but it was chaos. That's the best way to put it. You know, everyone's calling, and so Nebraska was actually the first phone call that I had, and so they kind of set the bar for everyone else. But the first day was just kind of filled with phone calls, just talking to people. Going in, I knew there were a few schools that I definitely wanted to talk to, and so definitely talked to them, and then a few others that had reached out, and I was like, okay, I'll give them the opportunity, see what they're all about. So Nebraska was my first call, and then ended up being my first visit as well. So they definitely set the standard for the other schools that I was seriously considering, but it was crazy. Mine was really fast, so I got into the portal on Wednesday, I think it was, and then I was at Nebraska Friday morning. So It was very, very fast, and then I committed the following Friday. So it all happened within the span of a week and a half, a little under 2 weeks. So it was really crazy. But I would say the main things that I was looking for was just a program where volleyball was really supported, a family. That was the biggest thing that I was looking for, was a family from top to bottom, whether that's coaches, support staff, community, whatever it may look like, obviously the team. That was a really big thing for me, and just somewhere that I knew felt like home, and that I could be myself and really thrive there. That was definitely big for me.
That's awesome. So you come here and then you have you're exploring other opportunities. Was there something that you just couldn't get out of the back of your head once you came here that you just kept going back to about Nebraska?
Definitely the fan base and the support, and then also it just felt like home for me. Being from Alabama, I'm 10 miles north of Birmingham, so Birmingham's obviously not a big city, but in a way it kind of felt the same to me, where there was a little bit of a city here in Lincoln, but also just it was just a community, which is kind of how my small town is back in Alabama. And so for me, it just reminded me so much of home, and I loved that aspect of it.
So you had a chance to play with Lexi and Becca on the U21 USA team last June. How much did that help too, a familiarity of having a couple teammates that you already had played with before?
Yeah, for sure. And obviously at that time I had no plans of leaving Florida, so at that time I was just able to become their friend and had no ulterior motive to it at all. And so looking back on it, I was able to rely on how they played and how good of teammates they were and how good of just a friend they were throughout that whole process. And I think that really attests to how Nebraska runs their program and the culture behind it. So for me, that was definitely huge because I got to kind of look back on those few weeks that I had with them, and I was like, okay, little moments that I didn't pick up on then, but now looking back, I could be like, okay, well, that's showing me they're a good teammate. That's showing me what all Nebraska's about. And so for me, that was huge, knowing how they were, and kind of it showed how Nebraska was. So that was cool.
One of the best liberos in all of college volleyball. What was it like kind of playing alongside Lexi? She's so loved around here.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. It was so cool just because we kind of grew up knowing each other because our clubs were what's called sister clubs. So we kind of knew each other growing up. But I don't know, I always had watched her and was just like, holy cow, that girl is so good. So having the chance to play with her was just really cool. And she's not only obviously a great volleyball player, but she's a great person and a great teammate too. So that was cool to experience as well. I think I have to give her a lot of props because when you're that good, it would be very hard for a lot of girls to stay as humble as she is, and she does a great job of that. So props to her for that.
So you come in here and, you know, a pretty young team, a lot of people coming back, but you've played volleyball, you were a team captain before. What was your approach to coming in to a new team back when you got here in January?
Yeah, I was just myself. I think that was the biggest thing for me, is just kind of being myself and letting everything else fall into place. Obviously, I was new as well, and I've been in college volleyball, but I had to learn the rules and how the program was run, and I had to learn all of those things. And so for me, I just ultimately, at the end of the day, stuck to who I was and learned those things throughout. And I think the girls, or the returners, I guess they're not older players, but the returners did a really good job of being very welcoming and helping all of us coming in. So I would just say I was just sticking to who I was and being me, and that was my approach.
Visiting with Merritt Beason from Nebraska Volleyball. Well, you were a team captain last year at Florida as a sophomore. How were you able to step into that leadership role so young?
Yeah, so at Florida, we were kind of in the same situation that we're in here at Nebraska. We had 5 seniors leave after my freshman year, and we had 2 seniors last year, but they both transferred in. So it was a very young group, very new group, and so my coaches asked me to fill that role, and I had a very good captain my freshman year, Marley Monzere. She was our setter, and I loved her, and so I kind of got to watch her. Obviously, a right side and a setter are very connected, and so I got to watch her and see how she ran the program. So she left me big shoes to fill, but she definitely set a really good example. And so, I mean, I just trusted my teammates, and I knew that they had my back no matter what. So yeah, it was a pretty hard role to fill as a sophomore, but I knew my teammates had my back at the end of the day. So
it had to help, though, too, so then transitioning into, because we're hearing how you've stepped into a leadership role here already, that you've already kind of served in that role. Did you find some of the things that you learned, you know, in that leadership role last year has helped you kind of step into that role here at Nebraska?
For sure, definitely. And I think it's obviously the girls on the team right now have different experiences than I have, just because I am transferring in, and I think being in that position last year with a young team is definitely going to help in the fall, because I've lived that for a whole year before. And so just little things that come with being a young team and being female athletes is there's definitely a lot of things that I learned throughout the fall. And I think you can't run the team the same way with 5 seniors versus no seniors, you know, and there's just little things that you have to change each year depending on who you have. And so I think there are a lot of things that I took away from last year that I think will help us in the fall.
Had you played beach volleyball before?
I did a little bit in high school, never like super seriously, but I did in high school. I played a few tournaments during the summer, a little bit, but nothing too crazy.
So did you enjoy the beach season?
I loved it. Yes, it was so much fun. And it's nice just to kind of switch it up a little bit, get a break from indoor, give your body a break a little bit. And obviously they're very similar, but they're very, very different. And so I thought it was really cool, very refreshing.
Great workout, right? Working out in the sand?
A great workout.
Do you feel like you could jump like 8 feet when you got back on a court?
Yes, it was crazy. Just even doing workouts, and we would do jumps in the middle of our workouts, and I'm like, wow, I jump a lot higher on the ground than I do in the sand.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, so you guys have transitioned back into spring, and you have the big spring match coming up this Saturday, mentioned at Central City. How has spring gone for you guys?
It's gone so good. I think one thing that always comes back about this team is how competitive we are, and I think that's going to help us being such a young team, but day in and day out we get after it. And I know that was one thing that was really cool for me walking into the gym, and that was one thing that I noticed from the get-go is just how competitive everyone is from the jump, whether we're peppering or it's the end of practice and we're playing 6-on-6. So I think that's really cool and very special to have in such a young team. And so scrimmaging Creighton last week, which was close to the public, so I don't know if people know that, but we scrimmaged Creighton last week, and I thought it was really special how it didn't matter what lineup was out on the court, didn't matter who was playing, didn't matter. Everything looked the same from the volleyball play, obviously, but also the support from the bench. It didn't matter who it was, who was out there. We all love each other, and I think that's really, really special and very hard to find in a young team, and so I think that's really cool as well.
So you play primarily right side, right?
Yes.
Can you take us through that? I'm sure there's a lot of people listening in that understand that very well, but for some that don't, just kind of the difference is how you feel so comfortable on that side and why that's kind of your fit.
Yeah, so I actually, before college, never played right side, ever. I was an outside my whole life. I got recruited as an outside. My freshman year at Florida, we didn't have a right side, so it was kind of just whoever ended up being best fit played right side. So I fell into that role, luckily, and at first, I'm not going to lie, I wasn't a huge fan of it, just because as a right side who's right-handed, sometimes it can be really awkward, and obviously not playing that before, it is really awkward until you get a lot of reps in, and so at first I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but it was my way on the court, and that's what the team needed, so I didn't really care, but I've grown to love it so much. I think having a right side who can play 6 rotations or can do a lot of different skills is very unique right now in the game of volleyball, and it's kind of the difference between the men's game and the women's game is not a lot of right sides play 6 rotations, and so I think being able to be someone that does that is so special right now in women's volleyball, so I loved it from that aspect of just like there's not a lot of girls playing 6 rotations as a right side right now. So I mean, I've gotten way more comfortable playing right side, which helps my love for it a lot more. But yeah, so I didn't always play right side, but I've grown to love it a ton.
And, you know, Coach Cook talks about that, you know, wanting to have players out there that can do everything, that don't just specialize in one thing. So how much have you learned in that aspect, too, just all the different things that you do out there? You know, the passing is obviously hugely important to him as well, just all the different things.
Yeah, it's definitely... I've definitely grown my game a ton in every aspect since I've been here. And I think that's really cool to find as well because, I mean, obviously I've played 2 years of college volleyball, and so being able to improve so much in a short amount of time has been really special. There's a lot of things that I've had to change, a lot of tweaks that I've had to make, but I've already grown a ton, so I'm super excited to see how much I continue to improve.
Well, how ready are you guys to get in front of Husker Nation? Last week's was closed against Creighton. You mentioned that, but Central City, Nebraska, it was sold out as well. You guys are going to have an awesome crowd there. How ready are you guys for that? Oh,
we are so excited. I think it's just going to be cool to be able to show all of Husker Nation, like, who this team is and what we're about. And so I know that we're really, really excited and looking forward to it.
What are the goals? What do you guys need to accomplish? What are you looking for from this team to get accomplished?
I think just being who we are. I think as a young team, sometimes it can be hard to keep who you are when things get hard. And so I know that one of our main goals right now is, like, no matter how we're tested, like, sticking together, being competitive, and just playing the volleyball that we play day in and day out is going to be huge for us. So, I mean, we're just looking forward to it. We're super excited, and we're just ready to be able to be us at the end of the day. We don't have to do much, just play the volleyball that we play in practice every single day.
So recently, you guys went out and did something really cool. You did some branding, you were roping, all of that. I know Coach Cook's really into all that. How did you enjoy that?
Yeah, it was so much fun. It was definitely out of a lot of our comfort zones just because most of us didn't. Most of us didn't grow up around that sort of thing. So it was new for all of us. And so obviously we failed a lot. And I think that was good just to kind of get out of the volleyball world and understand that there's a lot more to life than volleyball, because I think in college athletics you can get wrapped up around your sport a lot. And so for us it was a good little reset. We got to go out, try something new, learn something new. And then obviously we got to watch the rodeo girls and just see what they are all about. And so that was really special as well. So it was a good day to kind of learn something new, get outside of volleyball, reset, and then obviously be together and bond as a team as well.
Overall, 1 to 10, rate Coach Cook's roping skills.
I'm going to give him An 8.5.
That's pretty high.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. It was really impressive.
You know, you also had some familiarity with some people outside of volleyball here. It seemed like there was just an influx of Florida people coming in. You knew Chief Borders pretty well when you got here.
Yeah, so we both graduated early to go to Florida at the same time. So we came in together, and we've been friends ever since, and he's one of my best friends. So it was really cool how it ended up happening. We were both on our visits the same weekend, and Coach and Jay Ray sent me a screenshot of the two Florida guys that were on a visit that weekend, and we're like, you know either of them? And then I texted Chief, and I was like, where are you going right now? And he was like, Nebraska. And I was like, me too, I'm on the flight. And he was like, what? Like, we didn't even know. So
really?
Yeah, it was crazy. And then we both ended up coming here. So it's been super cool, and it's super nice having someone that was in my position and left and then ended up here. So it's really good to have a resource and have a friend like him here.
He's a character.
He is.
He's got some TikToks going. He's already been viral. I mean, he's definitely going to be a fan favorite as well.
He is. He's awesome.
So far, what's been the best part about Nebraska? What have you loved the most about Nebraska?
My teammates, for sure. And just the atmosphere that we have in the gym every single day. That's definitely my favorite by far. From the top down, from coaches, trainers, strength coach, teammates, the GAs, all of it, and everything in between. That would definitely be my favorite.
It's awesome. Merritt Beason, this has been an awesome conversation. Can't wait to chat with you even more, and we're excited to see you guys back out on the court on Saturday in Central City, Nebraska.
Perfect. Thanks for having me.